Okay, now we're going to discuss the 8 stretches that we would recommend that any runner can do, especially the long distance runner. And to break it down, I thought what we do is, in order for you to remember, start from head, go to toe, and we're going to do a stretch for the front, back, side, side, and then front, back. This will all make sense as we go along. First off, we're going to start front, back. These are stretches I think that you're going to see most runners do not do, but I think yet they're very important. The first one is to stretch your chest muscles, because why? You want to have good posture and you want to expand your chest muscles while you're running. It's going to make it easier for you to expand your diaphragm, make it easier for you to take in air, make it easier for you to take in, increase your oxygen levels. So to stretch your chest, there's a couple ways you can do it. One, if you find a doorway, you can put your hand on both sides, both sides of the doorway, and just lean into it until you feel the stretch here. Okay? If you're already somewhat flexible, you can just grab your hand behind you and pull up like this, and this will stretch the chest out. All stretches we recommend doing for 30 seconds, and all stretches we recommend doing it in what we call a static fashion. You're just going to apply the stretch and gradually increase it. As you may have heard many times, you don't want to do any bouncing. Bouncing, what you're always told is that it may injure you, and the fact is, I've never heard of anybody getting injured from doing a bouncing stretch, but it's just not effective. If you understand the way muscles work, the muscle spindle actually kicks in, and the stretch doesn't work. So you just want to apply a slow, steady stretch, and increase it and go up to about 30 seconds, and then you're ready for the next one. That was the front, now the back. I can tell you quite often I see people stretching their back by doing this. They're stretching their hamstrings and stretching their back. I don't know that I know anybody that should stretch their back that way. Throughout the day, you're putting your back in that rounded out position, and in fact, that's quite often how you can hurt your back. I would never recommend to any of my patients that they stretch that way. And in fact, what I'd like to see is that you actually stretch your back the other way. You don't need to stretch it this way, you need to actually go in the opposite direction, because that's the way you never put your back into, and that's the area that we need to stretch it. So, the best way to do this is to get down and on your stomach, lay down, you put your hands beneath your shoulders, you're going to leave your pelvis down, and then we're going to bend up in this fashion right here. This is stretching your back. Now again, this is going to help you keep good posture when you're running. It's also going to expand your chest again to help you with the breathing. So you can do a good 10 reps of this. If you are having trouble with your back, I want you to talk with your physician or physical therapist or chiropractor before you do any of these. But otherwise, this should be good to go for anybody else. So those are the first 2 stretches that we'd like you to do for running.
Hi, my name is Brad Heineck. I'm a physical therapist and I work with Bob. And we're going to go through stretching for the runners. And we're going to start from the legs and start with the quadriceps and the hip flexors, a muscle group here and here. Very critical muscle groups that are going to help you run faster, and we need to keep those muscles loose. The first thing we're going to do is do a lunge stretch. And the stretch is going to be felt here and here, right where you put your hand in your pocket. That's the hip flexor and of course the quadriceps. And if you lunge here and down, and then you're going to lean forward. You're not putting a lot of pressure on your knee, but you are leaning forward, and then lean back. And as you stretch, make sure you breathe and relax and feel those muscles stretch. Okay? Very good. Another way you can stretch that muscle group is grab your foot here and pull your knee back this direction. At the same time, this hip right here is going to go forward, and you stand up tall with good posture. Don't find yourself leaning over here. Get your hand on the wall for balance if you need it, and stretch. Especially if you're going to hold it for 30 seconds, unless you got good balance. I want you to put your hand on the wall or something to balance so you can relax as you stretch. Okay. And the next muscle group is the hamstring muscle group on the back side of the leg. This muscle is very commonly injured. We want to make sure we take care of them and keep them stretched and flexible as Bob had mentioned. This is one of the most, the way I like to do it best. There's many ways you can stretch it, but when you're outdoors, you can find a step, you can use the bleachers, okay, in a stairwell, a bench, whatever it is. And when you stretch the hamstrings, make sure your knee is straight. Don't try bending it, stretching it in this fashion. Straighten the knee, straight back, and then you're going to bring your chest towards your knee. Okay, I don't want to see you bringing your nose and getting all hunched over and rounded back, etc. Because we don't want to stretch our back in that fashion. We want to keep the back straight and lean forward, gentle stretch. As you exhale, you relax, feel those muscles relax. You don't want to force a muscle to stretch, you want to allow it to stretch. And you do that by relaxing your body, breathing, and stretch. Hold it for 30 seconds, and then you can carry on with the same other leg in the same fashion. Okay, so we finish up with the front of the legs and the back of the legs. Now we're going to do the outside of the leg and the side in here. First of all, we call these the adductor muscles here. And a good way to stretch those out is, again, use a stool or a bench, a bleacher, whatever it may be, so you get your foot up here in this fashion. Okay, at this point, keep your knees straight, and you're going to lunge down here and feel a stretch right in that groin area. And hold it. Again, if you have something else to hold on to, better if you have good balance, you can do this and hold it here. You'll get a little workout on your quads on this side as well. Okay? Again, gentle, relaxed stretch for 30 seconds. Again, you do it on the other side. Doing the opposite muscle on this side. Okay? This is the IT band. You may have heard of that being injured. And we got the hip abductor muscles here. A good way to stretch that is bring your hand up to a wall. If we're going to stretch the right leg gets planted, the knee is straight, up with good posture, and then you're going to lean in towards the wall. Feel a stretch here. You can take the opposite leg, cross it over here to help your balance, and allow that muscle to stretch. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, let the muscle relax. Think of your muscles and tendons of being like butter on a hot summer day with the sun beating on that butter. It's just going to relax. Okay? And that's the outside of the leg.
Okay, I'm back, and I'm going to discuss the last two stretches. Again, we went front, back, we went front, back, side, side, and now we're going to go front, back up here. And actually, we're going to talk about the back first. These stretches, I think, are very critical with running. This is where I see a lot of injuries. Specifically, I see the Achilles tendonitis, you know, the back tendon right here, often get flared up on people. I see shin splints, which, you know, people feel often in here, and often that can be attributed not only to equipment and training, but it can also be attributed to not stretching correctly. In fact, if you stretch correctly, that one will not happen nearly as often. And the third injury that I quite often see is plantar fasciitis, which is the bottom of the foot. And all of these can be taken care of with these stretches. So, what you need, I think the best way to do this stretch is with a step. You do see people doing that one where it looks like they're pushing over the wall and they're stretching that back calf. That is one way to do it, but I prefer to get up onto a step, and I'm going to simulate this here, and you're just putting your forefoot on the step, and I am falling here already, but keep the leg straight and let the heel sink down. That right there, I'm stretching the bottom of my foot, and I'm stretching the calf. Okay, that's stretching the back of the foot. Now, if you want to stretch the other muscle, which is the posterior tibialis, and the posterior tibialis actually comes around and does attach somewhat into the front, and that's how we're stretching the front. You actually have to stretch the leg. Now, you started with the knee straight. Now you bend the knee and just let it hang there. It's important that you do both of these. It's important that you do it with it straight and with it bent. And this is the one that you're going to find out really helps with shin splints and any other plantar fasciitis actually will help even too, because you're stretching that even a little more intensely. All right.